Greetings, fellow Oak Brethren and Restitutionists. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the very first episode of a new series playing Going Medieval. If you would like to skip the game's overview or the setup of the scenario, please use YouTube chapters. Welcome everybody to the December Miniseries Marathon of Going Medieval. So for those that don't know, Going Medieval is a game where you construct a fortress in a land reclaimed by wilderness. You defend against raids and keep your villagers happy as their lives are shaped by the world around them. This is a marathon with a to-be-determined amount length. And as for the details, I'll be playing on a random medium-sized mountain biome on standard difficulty, playing the new life scenario with 3 pre-made settlers named after my Patreon patrons. And I'll be building a fortress that is half surface, half subterranean, and these settings were determined by polling ahead of the stream throughout the week. So I'll be playing a standard mode. There's standard, peaceful is no enemy attacks, and survival, which it ramps up over time. It was polled that I play on somewhat difficult, so I'll set it to a difficulty, which hamstrings the enemies a little bit less than normal, but there's a huge level of fine details if you want to set it up like that, if you were wondering. But yeah, we'll be doing it on difficult. And then the new life. You can add your own starting conditions, but new life starts you off with a decent amount of stuff. Some weapons, 2 animals, a male and female goat, and a cat. And then also some clothing. And then I wanted a different crest than that. That's interesting that it gave me that crest. But this is a random seed. As you can see, here's the seed. And we'll be in the mountain tile. So there's lots of stone, gold, iron, silver, but not a lot of soil or vegetation. It has harsh winters and mild summers. Let's fix our lovely symbol here, and we're going to go with a custom symbol. I think you might know why. Yes, we have Yoda. Let's make him even larger. A very complicated crest to paint on our shields and banners, but I'm good with that. All right. Well, let's hope this random seed is interesting. I may have to re-roll a few times. One thing I would really like to incorporate is water into the design. So it really depends. It really depends on water availability. And as I mentioned, we're going with some pre-made. So we have Liara, Rager, and Tralla. The TLDR is that Liara is sort of our speechcraft and researcher. Rager is our miner constructor, and then Tralla is botany and hunting and cooking. But is a very well-balanced group skills that I figured I'd give myself. I will show tutorial tips, but I'll probably not be going way deep into the tutorial, so here we go. Here is the summary. And I'm hoping that the mountain biome we start on is one that I can play. Zinlin and Kellyan, thank you for the gifted subs and the resub. Cheers. So there's been a lot of major updates since the last I played. But probably the most significant is the update that added water mechanics, which is the most recent one. And then there was an update about animal husbandry. Those are probably the 2 major changes since the last time I played this. So animal husbandry allows you to keep livestock and make cheeses and milk. And then water mechanics allows you to have like moats and waterfalls and the like. So this is the little tutorial about camera controls and world layers and game speed. So let's see. Our starting tile. We have a tiny little watering hole here. We have a southern, I'm going to call it southern running river. And another tiny water hole there. This map tile does not drive inspiration for me, but I'm happy to keep it. I can work with it. At the very least, I can work with it. So, let's get going. You all decided that I do sort of a half subterranean, half surface colony. And what I was hoping to do, I actually might re-roll the seed. What I was hoping to do is to have sort of a mountainside nearby to dig into, to sort of replicate like a Helm's Deep style effect. But as you can see here, there's not really that kind of level of terrain on this seed. So I'm going to roll the seeds one more time. And because I already have the settlers as pre-made, it's very quick to do this, I think. Oh, you know, I gotta delete Jotunheim now, because that's not gonna let me have the same name. Alright, difficulty's done. Jotunheim up in the mountains. Wow, the hillsides look more mountainous. I mean, not really, but hillsides look pretty mountainous to me. Loading up our pre-mades. I won't even show tutorial tips. Nobody needs that. Scumdog and Dave, thanks for gifting out subs and Bloody Death for bits. Welcome all. Can't wait to cut my teeth. And yes, mountains tend not to have a lot of water, but through water mechanics, I should be able to move water around to build interesting settlements anyway. I practiced a lot leading up to the stream of dealing with water mechanics, understanding them, and designing with water in mind. So, because the difficulty isn't like survival hard or whatever, it's going to allow me to have a lot more time to spend on aesthetic construction, rather than just like meta trap mazes and murder holes and the like. So that's good too. We'll have some flexibility as to our design. All right. This spot, wow, yeah, that's a pretty steep mountain right there. We could build over there. We could even build, there's a lot of spaces to build. I kind of like this plateau here, as we can go into the mountain here. We have a river nearby. My only concern is how hard is it to get up there? I guess we could swim up the waterfall, because one thing you have to consider is that all the initial starting resources have to eventually be hauled to where you want to settle. The other thing that we could do is settle sort of into this mountain, which is very close to the starting location, and then use this water as sort of like a moat. I like it. I think I can make that work. And then we don't have to haul too far. We'll be sort of close to the edge of the map, so let's see how close we are. The red zone is unbuildable, so it would sort of limit the sprawl, but given the scope of this miniseries, I don't think that will be much of an issue. I think that will be very workable. So, I'm going to pull the trigger on that. Nice. We have a seed. Maybe not the most glorious seed ever, but a seed nonetheless. So first order of business, I would say, is to start like some sort of survival shack or the like, to make sure that we have storage and a place to sleep and that kind of thing. So let's go over the jobs. What I like to do is to set everyone to 5 and then get a little bit more granular about their specific tasks. So now they're all set to 5. I think Tralla is going to be my hunter. Construction, rowing, mining, pet plants and cooking, smithing, carpentry, craft, research, art, steward, and hall. And I'm sure I'll adjust this further. So the thinking I have is that there is a small patch of green here, which we can use for our initial farm. Eventually, I intend to unlock terraforming to be able to move the soil around and to build the farms where I want them, instead of the necessary spots that the game has for soil. But as you can see, this map tile is mostly salt, iron, silver, limestone. It's not a whole lot of soil. So if you want larger fields, you kind of have to build them yourself. And we'll go ahead and flop down a stockpile. What is this? Is this limestone? What I plan on doing is just building a simple little shack to start, where we'll live in. Eventually moving into the mountain and having some sort of like hybrid structure building. So that's the plan. So Trala, let's give you the marksman longbow. Rager will take the short sword. Liara will take the short bow. And then with the sword, you'll take the buckler. And nope, Liara, put that down. Where did you put that? She's holding the gambeson. There we go. Equip that. And then I'm going to have everyone haul stuff to the stockpile. Cool. So it's not all that realistic right at the start to try to build straight into the mountain, because mining tasks take a very long time. And we would have absolutely miserable colonists in the meantime. So the plan is to construct like an outbuilding, which will not be part of the eventual construction or infrastructure of the keep. And this little outbuilding will serve as a sort of temporary quarters. So 4 little beds. We'll get a table with some chairs. And the other thing that you might notice is I am going, in order to build this, I require a lot of wood, but there's not a lot of wood on this map tile. So we're going to be transitioning over to like stone as a construction resource, probably pretty early on. We'll get a restitutionist shrine to fulfill their religious needs, and then a backgammon table for their recreation ones. And then the other thing I want right at the start is the research table and the butchering table, so that we can unlock agriculture and hunt. And then we'll also want a campfire to do some simple cooking. Very simple setup. So all of the growing trees around here, or the fully grown trees, mature trees, and dead trees, I'm going to cut down. We'll get that built. Once we have the research table, I intend to spend the initial chronicles, the initial research books that we brought to unlock agriculture. But the research projects thereafter, I'm going to leave to you guys. We're also going to want somewhere to put the animals. And if you're wondering, I was not planning on raffling the animals. And the reason for this is because they are very likely going to get slaughtered for meat and leathers. Maybe not the cat, but the sheep probably. And I don't want to name them after you guys and then just like kill them off. I'd feel weird doing that, so I won't be doing that. So looking at the mountain that we have available to us, it's this really nice sort of semicircular mountain. And I think what I envision is like maybe like tiered farming, the way you see rice paddies at some point, with like a boundary wall and then an entrance that goes over this river or this brook. Yeah, I think it's too small to be really called a river. Something like that. Where then we could dig into it, and digging into it will allow us to have like a food cellar and other things like cold storage and the like. But also, because the mountain tile gets very cold in the winter, being deep underground will give us good thermal insulation properties to be able to heat things more easily. So it serves two purposes. So that's sort of the concept there. Whether I can pull it off was yet to be seen. Now, it would be a little weird for enemies to spawn, like, just over the wall. So then I can also line the top here to prevent them from just, like, you know, back capping us or whatever you want to call it. Minas Tirith from Lord of the Rings, or like Helm's Deep. Yeah, something like that. That's what was polled. That is what was voted on. So that is what I'm going to try to build. What's funny is I had a lot of ideas personally, and then all of the polls went ways that I did not expect. I thought, given that this was sort of the definitive water update, that maybe like marsh or river would be voted on, but nope, not even close. Mountain, straight mountain. The tile with the least amount of water got voted on. So there is no mechanics that allows you to raise the level of water. But if you have high water, like here, I could build an aqueduct system to bring water into higher terrain. But also, this water at this Z level, or Y level, I don't know what levels they are. This is what, level 6? Could be used to bring water in to the keep. So we can have internal water pools or waterfalls or just available water. Things like that. That would be possible. So we'll see about that. Chaos Dino and in Futhrun. Thank you for the resubs. Welcome to the marathon. Now, Mountain does have one advantage, which is there is tons of resources. So there's a giant vein of silver here with iron around it. There is salt. I'm sure if I look a little bit more closely, I would find gold pretty early on. It's a double-edged sword because you also have to be very careful not to dig up more like iron and or silver and gold than you mean to, because it will raise your colony value and you will raise your regional influence, and then you'll be attacked more frequently. So when we are excavating this mountain, we actually have to be somewhat careful as to not add like incredible amounts of value to the colony unless we're pairing it with increased defenses, or we're going to attract some unwanted attention, let's call it. The other advantage is there's a lot of coal, which is a good heating source if you are tired of cutting down trees for sticks. So that's nice too. So the starting shack is getting thrown together, and I probably will not even opt for like a nice roof here. I'm just gonna do like a basic thatched hay roof, just to get something above our heads. We brought enough hay for that. We're gonna want to probably harvest as much like wild grasses as we can. There's also barley over here, which is ripe. I wouldn't mind harvesting the ripe barley. But the reason for all the hay is we'll want animal fodder for our sheep. And without the animal fodder, it's going to be a little bit trickier to feed them. Hey, Syndra, thank you for the resub. How am I? I'm doing pretty well. Mostly recovered from all the illness. So Trala should be already harvesting that barley. And then one thing I'm probably going to want to do is to, once the campfire is built, to set up a recipes that don't include the barley initially until we have a nice field of it. Because unlike things like cabbage, which is grown with cabbage seeds, I have 35 cabbage seed. barley is grown by using barley, no seeds, which means you can end up harvesting all the wild barley on the map tile and then not having any barley to actually sow into your fields. And, well, I don't want to do that. That sounds bad. How complete is this game? It's complete. You can play it right now, and if it didn't get another update, it'd be fine, barring some bugs. And every successive update just like adds more features, as far as I'm concerned. It's a very complete game now in its current form, in my opinion. And I'm not sponsored. Like, I bought this game for myself. Foxy Voxel never have reached out to me or anything like that, so I'm not being paid to tell you otherwise. It's one of those games that I think it has pretty high replayability compared to a lot of the other settlement builder games, which means that you won't just play it once, or like I wouldn't just play it once. And there's very few games that I would actually say that about. Most of the settler builder games are like one and done as far as I'm concerned, so this is somewhat of the exception to that rule. So this default stockpile here, I don't want to include waste. So let's also set up a dumping stockpile elsewhere. I will put it here. And this has carcasses and waste. So I'll take carcasses and waste off of the default stockpile. There is a bit of a bug right now where the food reserves constantly read as low. There are ways to sort of gamify that to have that go away, and I'll try to do that once I have more infrastructure and food available, but just know that that isn't necessarily true. It's a known bug to be fixed, I suspect. So Trala, did you just... Yeah, Trala got done harvesting the barley, some of it, and is going for food. We have our cat Maxie eating our packaged meals, because of course. And Rager is working on getting the roof up. So actually, before people start to go to sleep, I would very much like the roof to be finished. He is building the butcher table. Okay, I'll allow that. Because there is a benefit sleeping indoors. There we go, spare room. Now, it's missing one little piece of the thatched roof, but it is enclosed enough that there won't be mood problems. And I'm gonna go with like this barn style roof. I like it. Glitch, thank you for even more bits. Cheers. So we have a simple little 9x9 with our stockpiles and production facilities strewn about. No windows. No, it's a temporary structure. So the next goal now is to start sowing seeds. The growing season in the mountain is shorter, so it's this is more urgent than it would otherwise be. So Rager, how about you get the research table built? Yara is hauling stuff to the stockpiles, I guess herbs. And then Trala is getting the wild barley. Yeah, it is not great pathing to get up there, which is what I feared. So the other thing I could do is, just to make it a little bit easier, is to set up some temporary stairwells out of wood to allow for them to access the high ground without having to run a giant horseshoe shape. Is there animal sleeping spots? No, but there is the concept of wicker fences and troughs and pen markers. and also a barn and barn doors. So we can get like a formal barn set up at some point. It's just not, in my opinion, all that high of a priority. But what I will do is set up at least a little area for them so they don't eat my crops, because I don't want them grazing where they ought not to be. Is that wooden door? Yeah, that wooden door is going to be blocked. I'll just move this bed. And then you can either get hay grass or make animal fodder for a food source for them. So it's just a tiny little, and this won't keep them safe from predators back here. It just keeps them away from the cabbages that I eventually will sow, which, yeah, is my main concern. If predators come roaming up, I'll shoot them. Like this wolf. Hi, little wolf. So the research table is now built. I'm going to unlock architecture, which gives me wooden beams to have structural support, and then also agriculture. So agriculture allows me to start sowing crops, and I have 35 cabbage seeds, but what I unlock next will be up to you, and I will describe the options here. So here are the choices. Terraforming allows me to move dirt around, essentially. It allows me to dig up dirt and place it where I want it, allowing me to like set up proper farm fields rather than just like farm wherever the soils are available. I could also do stone block cutting, which allows me to take the limestone and turn it into blocks, which is stronger than the raw stuff. Also, the other thing about terraforming, soil has the highest temperature insulation, so it makes for really good food cellars. We also have furniture, which unlocks bedding primarily, but also wall bookshelves and bookshelves. Smelting, turning iron nuggets into ingots, and then tailoring for clothing and flax, or infirmary beds for medical recovery rate. So I'll have you guys pick the first tech. And I'll queue up more chronicles to be made. So I have 35 cabbage seeds. And I want to set up a farm field. Let's see. That's 15. And this will be harvest when it's ripe. There's different harvest phases for some seeds. So then another 15. So that's 30. Harvest when ripe. And then I'll have 5 left over. And I'm going to do a small field and harvest when it's going to seed. So this 5-size cabbage field produces only 3 cabbage per plot, but 10 seeds per plot. And the other ones produce 9 cabbage per plot and 1 seed per plot. So this is generating seeds for me, and this is generating cabbage for me, so that I can get more seeds. And then I believe I also had barley. I don't know how much barley I have, but barley is one of those just like harvest when ripe or don't harvest at all. So we will put some barley down as well. Is there a fertility overlay? No, it's either you're on soil or you're not on soil. There's not like good or bad soil. It's just soil or not. So you can only plant on soil. So if I drag out like a giant field here, you can see that some of the tiles is limestone or gold or whatever, and it doesn't support life. A lot of this is like rocky soil. Oop, and I didn't mean to cut all those trees down. A lot of these are rocky soil, and then this is just like actual soil. I'm not exactly sure if rocky soil has growth speed penalties. That I am not sure about. But there isn't an overlay for that. In fact, there's really not a... So there are overlays up here. There's the overlay for the resource panel, as you can see in the top right. And then you have an overlay for what type of room it is. So this is a shared room of modest impressiveness. And here is a room indicator. So you can have kitchens, you can have workshops, you can have libraries, you can have churches, you can have chambers, shared bed chambers, great halls, infirmaries, or just spare rooms. Then there's an aesthetic heat map of like what's pretty and what's not. And then a temperature one of where it's warm, where it's cold. So right now it's very cold in our shared bedroom because I don't have the campfire out yet. And I don't have torches either. So here Trella is starting to plant the cabbage. Rager is getting the campfire going. And Liara is starting to research. So here in the meal, I'm going to set up a do until we have, let's say, 10. And then I'm going to say don't use the barley because I'm currently planning it. And then cook with sticks as fuel because wood and coal can be useful for other things. And when we run out of sticks, then I can expand. But I think that's probably the only requirements right now. I wouldn't want to use barley or herbs, but herbs is not for normal meals. So Rager is just going to finish up this initial hut. And then once he's done with that and also the little animal area, we can start making plans to go into this mountain. Now, a light source for Liara, I think, would be nice. So we'll put a little wall torch there. And then let's do one. Let's have it symmetrical. Or semi-symmetrical. Have one on the other side as well. The butchery, we're going to butcher forever. Anything that we hunt, we should butcher. And it looks like you guys want terraforming to be the first unlocked tech. Cool. So, question for you guys and gals. If this is our home here, do you want to protect it with a wall, a moat, or both? So if I did a wall, we could just build a limestone wall, removing all of these sort of ramp access. Build a limestone wall sort of around the bottom of the mountain. Because there's a river here, I could also do a moat where we... So moats are... I should talk a little bit more about the water mechanics. When you're in deep water, you can climb out of deep water, like if there's a shore, but you can't climb up a one-high wall. So functionally speaking, moats are not all that much different than actually just pits in the ground that aren't climbable. They just look a bit nicer and they allow for fishing. Fishing would be the big one. So if I wanted a moat, there's a bunch of different style moats that I could do. But, well, probably the most functional would be... Ooh, there's a carcass here. Probably the most functional would be one paired with a wall. So if we did just a moat, the moat would have to be like down a cell and then water so that you couldn't swim and then climb out. Whereas a moat wall combo allows us to have a moat around it paired with a wall. It's a more expensive project. And then also there is some limitations to it. But we could get by some of those limitations by changing the footprint that we're designing. So one thing that I could do is dig a channel here. I'm just going to pause the game to show you. So if we dug a channel here, like this isn't exactly what it would be like. And then dug along here and excavated this out, we could have this water from this river run alongside the side of this mountain And if I dug right up against the edge here, it would stop people from swimming and climbing out. It would make that impassable. And that would allow us to have sort of a cheaper moat. And then at this point, I could terminate it and have it come down as a waterfall and rejoin the river, something like that. That would be a relatively easy way to do it. It would incorporate the actual functional side of the mountain into the defenses. I would probably replace this soil with stone, and then like with defensive structures as well. And then this flat area can become more of a pasture and farm. Once we unlock terraforming, I can start to replace the stone with soil, and then run a I could put a pond here and incorporate it inside of our wall, and then run, you know, a moat around this way as well. Or like maybe run this river into this pond and then have a wall here, so that we wouldn't be a full moat, but it would be more or less a full moat. There are sort of killbox type mechanics, just like RimWorld, specifically using like defensive structures and Z levels so that you can shoot ingressing enemies and then use traps to trap some of them as well. So I think that's probably the style I'm going to do, and you guys want both, so got it. Thank you for tuning in to Going Medieval, which originally streamed live on Twitch December 23rd and December 24th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below, but please keep in mind that this episode was cut from a live stream marathon, and all the content has already been recorded, so changes cannot be made. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams, and a link to that can be found in the description of this video, and also a link to Discord if you would like to join my online gaming community. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and everyone that turned out to the live stream, and also viewers like you that made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow restitutionists and oak brethren.